My today's topic will be about the vision beyond. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 24, Jeremiah saw a vision that two baskets of figs are kept in front of the temple of God, that is, the temple of Solomon. And in one basket, there are rotten, bad figs. The other basket, there are good figs. And Lord asks Jeremiah, "What do you see?" And he said, "Lord, I see two baskets, one with the bad figs, the other with the good figs." He said, "Right." This is the time when Nebuchadnezzar, the king, the mighty king of Babylon, had taken the Israelites from their home city, Jerusalem, to the Babylon as captives. The kings, the princes, all the princes, the smiths, the goldsmith, the ironsmith, and all the craftsmen he had taken, and others he had taken as a captive to work for them. The reason of taking the prince and the educated boys of the Judean palace kingdom was because they were highly educated, well versed in many languages. So there they will be in the palace to work for them as scribes. Scribes are the people who write down. And the goldsmith, ironsmith, all that crafts they will be using to make their own statues that they were habit of making. So therefore, he took the cream also with him, along with the other people as slaves. Now it happened that God told Jeremiah, they had been against me and they had left me, so they all have been plundered. When you are weak, the others will come and take away things from you, and that is the truth of life. But along with these people who have gone as captives, I have sent some good also. So there are two type of people that have gone there, some very good and some bad. Bad will be used for them and they will die there. But the good that have gone there, I have sent them with a very protective eye on them. Through them only, God will be glorified through them. The true God, how true the God is, the living God is, and how he is going to make the other people of Babylon to understand what the living God is. So one of the prince was Daniel, much blessed, great wisdom, and the other sons of King Zedekiah were also there. They were not very good. King was not good. Therefore, when Daniel was there, he was one prince, and along with some other, who never mingled with the Babylonian gods and their foods. He stayed away. But he was very wise, and the king Nebuchadnezzar was much pleased with his wisdom for many things that he had done. So he was promoted on higher places also. People usually get jealous of such people who go on higher places. So what happened that he was tried to be pulled down by the others. They made a big statue of Nebuchadnezzar, and it was an order that people will bow their heads to King Nebuchadnezzar's statue. Now I will take this topic of statue, which had three different metals they were made of, which is another very interesting topic. And those who don't bow their head, they will be put in the furnace of fire. Since they did not do, they always bowed their head towards only their living God. So three of the princes were summoned in front of the king for not doing it, and a furnace 7 times more heated, and they were put into it. But what people saw is those who had put them in the furnace were killed immediately, burnt to death. But the other prince boys, three of them, they saw another one person more with them, easily walking in the fire. And in the morning, they saw the prince were alive. But then people said, who was the fourth one? The fourth one was Michael, the prince of protection, sent by God. And these boys were protected, nothing happened to them. Therefore, King Nebuchadnezzar said, your Lord has saved, and there is nothing more than your God. He is more powerful. That he even saved you from that burning furnace for the whole night. These boys were there, they were not burnt. After a while, another king comes. Daniel again was in a more better and bigger position now. And this was King Darius. During the time of King Darius, again the same thing happened. They wanted to harm and pull down Daniel. Here again a statue was made, and people were told that they are not going to worship anybody for 30 days but King Darius, the statue of King Darius. But as usual, Daniel, who was given the palace to live, and everything in the palace was his to use. Lot of comforts were there in the palace, and lot of things were there in the palace, but he refused to live there. He lived in a house which is near the gate of the palace, a humble house. And there he would open his window every day thrice, morning, evening, and afternoon. The window that was facing Jerusalem, he would go and worship his Lord, give thanks to him, and he was doing that. So he was brought before King Darius, that when this has been told that 30 days nobody is going to worship any other god but you were worshipping, so you will be put in the lion's den. So there were lions in the den, and Daniel was put there. Though King Darius was much grieved about it, but he had to do it because that has been through his signature on the paper. They had got it done. So the punishment was there. But morning, when Darius comes to the gate of the prison, and he finds he is alive, standing there unharmed. King Darius, a huge, big king of Babylon, he too praised the Lord and said, your Lord has saved you. Praise the Lord, your God is the biggest God. Therefore, in all the cases, we have seen that those who believe in God, they may go through any trials, they may go to any problems in life. God never leaves them. So whenever we see that we go to some place, God is the Alpha and the Omega. He knows our beginning and the end. As a child, I was always thinking, why are we born? Who are we? Why are we on this earth and then go away? When my grandmother died, when some of my very loved ones died, I was always thinking, why did they come to the earth? Why did they make relations, having children, wife and everybody, and then they go, leaving them weeping behind? It is always that we have to come to go. But every person who comes, some are God's chosen ones, and through them, God has to show his glory for others to follow and understand that he is the only glorified God, the living God. So when any calamity or any place you are put in, God is using you to show his glory. If he has put you in a certain place, he has plans for you. He is glorifying you through you. He is using you to understand how a person who puts his faith in God lives on the palms of his hand. When God said to Jeremiah, I will have a protective eye on the good ones. So when he had put them in the Babylon as young boys, through these boys, through Daniel mainly, he was glorifying that turn your ways and serve the living God. He is the only God that we should serve. And He protects us from all the calamities, and He has a reason. When He puts you in a certain place, He is saving you also from certain people, certain situations, putting you in a better place where you survive better, you grow better, and He blesses you. He never leaves you, ever, if you put your faith in Him and never stop saying your prayers. Daniel always prayed 3 times a day. The blessings that Daniel got in his life, till he lived, he was blessed so much. Till the king Cyrus came over, the Cyrus of Persia, he was in Babylon. And still being blessed by God, protected by God, he lived in a different land which was not his at all. The Chaldeans were different people, different race. And among them, he, Daniel, the believer in God, lived on a very high position till King Cyrus of Persia. For 70 long years that they lived, Israelites lived in the captivity. Daniel always lived in the blessings of God. All the luxuries of the palace were at his feet, but he chose to live in a small house near the gate and served his Lord, prayed to his Lord. Be humble and all is yours. The world God opens up for you. And through you He'll use as a person whom God is going to show the world, you are in me and how much I bless the person. Be like that person and you will be blessed. Even in the situations which are not very good, you will have the best. Best of luxuries, best of things in life. But humble yourself and stay in righteousness and in humbleness. This was a very good example that I read in chapter 24 of Jeremiah and the chapter of Daniel. How good God is. You just have to remain faithful, because as I always thought, why are we born? Who are we as humans? Why are we put on this earth? Who brought us? It is a question which the lame people think, okay, we are born through our parents, that's enough. No. We are human being creations. We are created for a reason, to put on this earth. For a reason. For their up higher being who is known as God, to show his power. He tells about Daniel's and the group of good figs, that he said that I will build for them and not pull them down. I will grow them and not destroy them. So every time, leave your life to God. As He is the Alpha and Omega, He knows your beginning and the end. We do not know. But when you put yourself in God's hand, He knows our beginning and He will have our end also beautiful. Don't break yourself up when any problems come, any sadness come in life. I too have many sadnesses in my life, but I never left God and always prayed to Him to keep me safe, my family safe, my son safe. So all these things, if you remain and believe, and for that you have to read the scriptures. Only that you read the scriptures, so many things are decoded. I am not a preacher, I tell everybody, every time. I do not like this preaching and all. I prefer reading myself, decoding the words, understanding it myself, and after reading many good bigger scholars that had been here, and in reading you know about many good prophets, the true prophets that are in the Bible. Every learning is there, and this is my learning period also throughout my life. I want others to know, and I share it